We're live. Good evening to everyone. I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Heart to Heart with Bree. I'm very excited about tonight's episode. And, Maxine, thank you so much for coming on to do this special episode. I'd like you to please introduce yourself to the viewers.
Hi, everyone. I am Maxine Latimer Tremble, and I have a ministry which is called Woven's Ministry International. I am on Facebook, so if you would like to go on Facebook to like or to whatever you do, you can go on to Woven's Ministry. Ministry is plural. International, and I am on YouTube. If you would like, you can find me at Woven's Ministry Plural, and you can watch this show and watch many show. I am a mental health therapist, and I work with substance abuse individual. I love what I'm doing, and I pray that this podcast or this show will bring some form of healing to you, or where you can process your feelings and your emotions tonight.
And Maxine has been on several times. I'm always happy to have Maxine on. Maxine, you've been a wealth of information on my podcast, and I've definitely been learning a lot from you. So, once again, thank you so much. I know you're very busy. You traveled over the weekend, but you still came on. So, for that, I'm very thankful.
Thank you too, Brie.
So, tonight we'll be talking about trauma bonding. And I would like to say to those who have been affected by this issue, we're here to be of support.
Mhm,
So, what I will ask you to do is just take your time and listen to what's being shared tonight. If you have a daughter, a son, you know, that are, they're teenagers, let's prepare them for when they get into a relationship. There are many young people out there who are in relationships and they're clueless.
mhm,
There are young ladies that are in relationships that are abusive, and the same thing
mhm,
with young men.
mhm,
So I'm hoping that there are people, Maxine, and tell me whether you agree or not, but there are people who are in relationships that
mhm.
are a trauma bond and they don't even
Right,
know what it
right,
is or
right,
what is going on. So,
right.
this episode is near and dear to my heart because there are things that we hear about on a regular basis now, Maxine. These are
Mhm,
things that were not really talked about when we were younger.
mhm,
So, unfortunately, I know when I started in relationships,
mhm,
from the very beginning, always with the wrong person, not really understanding what was taking place.
mhm.
So, I will begin with my first question. What is a trauma bond?
Wow, that's a great question, Bree. And before I answer this question, I would like to say that if you know anyone or yourself is into a trauma bonding relationship or situation, I would like you to call 1-800-799-7233 or text 8878. And I will repeat the domestic violence. This is a domestic violence hotline. I will repeat it after the show so that you can get help. So,
Thank you for that.
trauma bonding is an emotional connection or relationship with your partner. Um, it can be, it's commonly in relationships,
The
but
romantic
it
relationships.
romantic. Thank you
Yes.
for that, Bree. It's commonly in romantic relationships, and it's a cycle. It's a continual cycle or a continuous cycle that you find yourself trapped into a situation where you feel like you cannot get out. It is a toxic cycle
Yes.
where you are into, where this minute you love, this minute you hate, this minute you're in between, and this minute you cannot do it without this person. It's an attachment, insecure attachment to
Yes.
your partner, or if you are into a romantic relationship, and it's this a dysfunctional bond that fuel a dynamics of abusive relationship. I'm going to go slow because this is
Yes.
something that is not for me to rush into.
No,
So if you
definitely not.
find yourself into a dysfunctional relationship that fuel toxic or arguments or anything of the sort, you are into a trauma bonding relationship. Yes.
Yes. Yes, Maxine, there's a term called struggle love, you know?
Yes.
And
Mhm.
that's another thing. It's like if you feel like it's just this struggle, no matter what you do, it's always that emotional roller coaster. And
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
Maxine said,
Yeah.
it is a very toxic,
Mhm.
toxic connection.
Mhm. Right. And if you feel like you're so attached to the person where you cannot do without a person,
Yes.
right? But the relationship is not the best relationship, but you leave and you go back and you fight and you make up and you fight and you make up and you think that
It
the person
becomes like a
loves
drug,
you,
right? It
right?
becomes like a
Yes,
drug.
yes, that's it, that's it, that's it.
So let me ask you, Maxine, can
Mhm.
trauma bonding take place in any form of relationship, mother child, church brethren, in the workplace? Can we experience trauma bonding in these other relationships?
You can experience it, but it's commonly in romantic
Romantic, yes.
relationship. But oftentimes you see where you are attached with this person, and yes, sometimes it reached to a place where you become obsessed with the individual, where you cannot see yourself detached from the
Yes,
individual, right? Yes.
yes. So, what role, if any, does
Mhm.
low self-esteem and insecurity play in a trauma bond?
Wow, Bree, that's 100%, because do you know that it makes the individual vulnerable? If you are into a situation where you have trauma bonding, it makes the person, right? They usually say the victim, right? Right, more vulnerable and at a stage of manipulation as well, right? Where this person may have intense fear or having some going through some sort of intensified fear or abandonment, right? So when you go through a stage of fear and abandonment, you go through some sort of self-esteem or low self-worth. So you attach to the person because it said misery loves company, right?
Yes, yes,
So you are attached to the person because you feel like the person goes through the same situation like yourself, and you feel like nobody understands you better than this person because you have been through hell and back with this person. So
yes,
who you think you're going to stay with? The person who you have been through hell and back. And it messes with your self-esteem and your self-worth. Because if you have someone keep tearing you down every day, and then after tearing you down, the person is love bombing you, right? Then that's a situation where it messes with your self-esteem. Your self-esteem is like a roller coaster. It goes
yes.
up and it goes down, it goes up and it goes down. And it this your self-esteem is like, as I mentioned, it's a roller coaster. It's reinforce a abusive pattern. It's a pattern,
Yes,
right? It's a cycle,
yes,
and it limits your ability to seek support. You are relying on this person, and if you are relying on this person, this is when this person feels like he or she has that power over
let me ask
you.
you this, Maxine. A lot of people are in this trauma bond and they don't even realize it.
Right.
And they
Mm-hmm.
don't connect it with abuse because
Mm-hmm.
it may not be physical abuse, but
It's
it's abuse just the same because it's emotional abuse,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
Abuse,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
So a
mhm,
lot of people think that, okay, well, this person is not hitting me, so
mhm.
they don't associate it with abuse. What's your
Right.
take on that?
You are 100% correct. It's a psychological and emotional abuse. And oftentimes, I did a survey with some of my clients, and we were talking. So we asked that question to male, and we asked that question to female. The male mentioned that the physical abuse was much, much more stronger than the psychological abuse. The male mentioned it affects them more than psychological abuse. Now, the female mentioned the psychological abuse was much more powerful,
I
and
agree.
it take them to a deeper emotional stage than the
Yes.
physical abuse.
Yes,
So yeah,
and
yeah,
I can see how that can happen. Now,
right.
I read an article the other day on the attachmentproject.com. So I'm going to touch on some of what I found there. It talked about the different stages of the trauma bond.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing that I noticed was you mentioned it earlier, love
No
bombing.
bombing,
Now,
right.
love bombing, it happens to many of us and we don't even realize it. Good evening, Mikey. Thank you so much for tuning in. But
Hey,
love
Mikey.
bombing, and this is, you know what I thought about as I was preparing for tonight. I think back to, because sometimes you think, well, how can a person manipulate me that way?
Mhm.
But I thought back to the Garden of Eden, and God
Wow.
told them, don't go to this tree. You know, you can eat
Hmm.
from any tree in this garden.
Hmm.
Now, they had a relationship with God. They had a connection with God.
Hmm.
And the serpent, who we know as Satan, he was
Hmm.
able to talk Eve
Hmm.
into doing that. He was
Right,
also able to talk a third of the angels in heaven. They were in
right,
heaven where we're trying to go. They were there. And he
right.
was able to talk them out of their place there. So let's take the time to stop and think about the power of words. The power of
Awesome.
words. If we're
Hmm.
not strong in our faith, if
Hmm.
we're not strong within knowing who and what we are and what we stand for, it
Hmm.
is so easy for love bombing to take place.
Hmm.
If you're a person that you've never had much love and affection, or
Hmm.
you don't think you
Pray for
deserve
it as
this
well.
other person, right? Oh,
Hmm.
he's so good looking. What is
Hmm.
he doing talking to me? Oh
Hmm.
my gosh, I can't believe it. So
Hmm.
please talk about love bombing, and I'd like you to let the viewers know what to look for.
So, many people this term do not understand this term, but this term when someone um or your partner give you excessive admiration,
Yes,
and attention and gifts, and then they turn around and they tear you down. And this can happen
after
after
you made that connection,
after
right?
you made that
They
connection with
know
this
that they've got
person.
you, hook, line, and sinker.
Right. They just love you and just romantically just do everything to you, and they turn around and they tear you apart. And they can tear you apart not physically, but emotionally. Yes, mentally. They know what word to say and what to do to let you feel less than, to tear down. That's where the self-esteem comes in, to break you down. And this something gaslighting.
Yes,
Gaslighting is comes with love bombing. Is
yes,
when it's like, just as the word says, gaslighting is like you pour gasoline on the person and just strike it with a
yes,
match. It's like
yes,
the person will just tear you down, will just love you, telling you all the things that makes you feel good, that makes you melt. And in a split second, that person may say, "Are you stupid? You must be so
and
stupid."
that's the crazy thing. Love bombing, it does create that trust and dependence on
Right,
that person,
right,
right? You
right,
start to see that person as your safe place.
right.
You
Safe
feel
place. That's it.
secure. you feel good, they know
Mhm.
how to charm you, they
Right,
know the right things to say. I would say that those who do love bombing, they're seducers, right?
right,
It's
right,
a seduction. It's a powerful seduction. You're
right,
swept off your feet, and now you counsel those who go through addiction also,
right,
right?
right,
So
right,
I've heard addicts say, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but it's like they say that there's nothing like that first high, and that's something that
right,
they are forever chasing,
right. Do you know
chasing that
why?
feeling.
It evokes the emotion. That
Yes,
first high is when you're
yes,
in an emotional state, right? And
yes,
you need to stay in that emotional, or you want to get into a much deeper emotional state.
yes,
So
yes,
that first is like that emotional high where it evokes the emotions and it
yes,
lets you stay there and you
yes.
dwell there
And it
until
feels
it
good. It
feels
feels great.
good. But
Yes.
it's a risky place. It's it's risky. And
Yes, it is.
right, so it's where you allow someone to snatch away your power.
It's true. Just like a drug, just
Right,
like a
right,
just like a
right,
drug. And it's like you feel so good after that seduction.
right, right,
You know,
right.
you want to stay in that
Stay
place.
right. You don't want to give it up. You want to stay in that emotions, that or emotional state, to
Yes.
let you feel broken. And
Yes.
then you allow the same person who have caused you to be in a broken state to come and snatch you out. And you said, "Oh, he loves me. He just know what
Because
to do."
that feeling was so good,
Right,
just like that first high, you want to get that feeling back, right? So for
right.
some people, it's worth that roller coaster ride. Today you're up,
Mhm,
tomorrow you're
mhm,
down. You're
mhm.
chasing that feeling. You want to get back to that sweet spot. You know,
Right.
what can I do? What can I say? Maybe if I
Mhm,
shut up, maybe if
mhm.
I just accept that this person is doing that. Tell me if I'm wrong.
You are right. But I want to say that sometimes it's intentional. You're in the state intentionally or unintentionally.
Yes,
Sometimes you don't know you are
it's the
there.
truth. It's a seduction,
Right.
and I think you
Right.
become so
Right.
wrapped up in it. Yes.
Right. 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 But if I may, can I go back to low self esteem if I
Sure,
may?
sure.
So, when you are at a place of low self esteem, it increases your state of vulnerability where
Yes.
it takes you to a manipulation state.
Yes.
So the abuser manipulate the victim, and the victim turns around and manipulate the abuser. So it's
Yes.
a two-way path, if you understand.
It's
Because
like
if
it's like a dance,
it's
right?
the
Back and forth,
right,
back and forth.
you're in
Yes.
that dance, right? But you're with a partner. So as you
Yes.
said, it's an emotional high. This minute you are there and this minute you are down. So it's like it's where your self-esteem is like broken down, and you're bound to the trauma,
Yes.
right, that causes you to stay there. It's a
Yes.
dependency state. It's a believe in your unworthiness state. And you feel like the person, your abuser, is your lifeguard, your
There's
savior.
your savior, right?
Yes,
Hello, Angie. Thank you so much for tuning in.
yes, it's like your savior. And it's amplify that fear of abandonment,
Right.
and it
Right.
stays
You'll
there.
do anything to keep that
Keep
person,
that
right?
fear, right? And you stay there, and you stuck in that emotional stuck place where you dwell on the past, right? And then it reinforces a pattern of behavior. So that's where it affects your self-esteem. You're trapped, and your self-worth is, as soon as you get your self-worth up,
Yes.
something comes and steal it away from you, or you allow whatever situation you're in, to take that power away from you.
Yes, and it's something I'd like to welcome Queen Maxine, the original. Thank you for tuning in,
Correct.
Maxine. I really appreciate you coming on. So let me ask you this, Maxine. Years ago, I read something about an elephant where it says, like the baby elephant, they tie the string so he won't run away. But they say
Hmm.
as the elephant becomes older, it's a mental thing where they think they're still tied. They have the
Mm.
ability to walk away, but they don't because they think that they're
They're
still
stuck,
tied
right?
up,
Hmm.
right? So
Hmm.
it's like to me, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, with a trauma bond
Hmm.
we can walk away. I mean, honestly, no one is forcing you to stay, but
Hmm.
that mentally, you feel like this person is like the air you breathe.
Hmm.
You can't do without this person. You don't even want to think about being without this person, which is
Hmm.
pretty toxic. I'd like you to address that.
It's easier said than done,
Yes,
because to be attached to someone is like a life support. This
yes,
person is your life support.
yes.
And once you're in the situation, you feel like you cannot do without this person. And unfortunately, Bree, oftentimes it ends bad.
Yes,
And that's where you have to seek support, because sometimes you cannot do it alone. You have to seek some supportive, you have to seek some support, some help, someone to help you, whether a counselor or a positive family member,
I
or
agree.
someone that who understand what is going on and can help you out of this situation that you're in, because it's easier said than done. You
It's like a
leave,
stranglehold,
right,
right? It's like,
you leave and then you go back.
yes,
You may leave the situation for a year or 6 months to a year or something, and then you go back because you see this is the only person that understands you.
yes.
Nobody understands you like this person, and the other person is saying, I'm there to help you. No one else can help you but me. So that's where oftentimes, to break free from this situation, it's really, really hard. You have to take yourself to a stage of awareness, and you have to accept that you are in a toxic relationship that is not going anywhere.
It's true.
It's more
It's
harm
so
than
it's
good.
true.
It's more
It's
harm.
true.
Yeah.
You know what? Looking back at myself, because unfortunately, I have
Hmm.
had several trauma bond situations, and that level of trust and dependence that we place on this person in the trauma bond. Something I've come to learn is that no one can love away your pain. There's no human being that can make you feel whole. That can only come from God.
Hmm.
But I
True.
think we're in stuck in these connections. After a while, it becomes a distraction. I think even with our spiritual life,
Right, right.
because subconsciously, this trauma bomb, this person has become like a god. I mean, am I
Right.
right or am I wrong?
Correct. You are right. 100% right. Yeah. It's like an obsession, you
Yes,
know. You are at a stage of obsession, and with this person, and it's vice versa. And it takes you to a place of unhealthy connection and relationship as well. And when you see this person is, you put this person on a very high pedestal, you know this
yes,
person is very high esteem, right?
yes,
Where it's in trauma bonding, this is what the abuser does, is to try take you away from your loved ones and people who cares. So what
yes.
they do is they like
They
cause you to
isolate you, right? Pull you away from
isolate
everyone.
you, put you
Yes,
away, because I am the only person can take care of you.
it's true.
Right, right, right. And then you have distorted cognitions, meaning that you start thinking that I'm a bad person, I'm no
Yes.
good, nothing good ever come to me. You know, you start having this the cognitive distortion about
Yes.
yourself. You have no truth about yourself. You cannot find yourself into a positive or place without this individual. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I hope the viewers are listening to
Right,
this because
right.
this is great information. Now let's talk about criticism and devaluation. No, I think as humans, we want to feel validated, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And unfortunately, in this trauma bond, there's this dependence on this individual. You want to be loved by this person. You want
Mm-hmm.
to be their all in all for the most part, which you're probably not. But
Mm-hmm.
it's like once you go through that stage where you're being criticized and you
Mm-hmm.
feel valued, I think when people are in this stage, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but they feel like, well, if he's looking at this person, then I have no value. Oh, I'm so unworthy. And then the insecurity takes over, that
Mm-hmm.
mental distortion, and you're trying so desperately to hold on to this person because you think if I can just keep him, then I'm
Mm-hmm.
of value.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I can show to the world, that I'm with this person. And
Mm-hmm.
what they're really doing is they're taking away your pride, your dignity, your self respect. All of that
Mhm,
is going
mhm,
out the window. It's like a game after a while. So
mhm.
I'd like you to address this criticism and
And the
devaluation, because, and it
mm,
has nothing to do with love, because a person that loves you will not mistreat you in this manner.
mhm. This is when the other person, they say the abuser, but I really dislike the word abuser because sometimes it's both sides of the game, right? And this is when the person, as it mentioned, starts to criticize you, name calling. They tear you down by calling you names. And these names are not the best choice, you know. Call you, they gaslight you,
Yes,
right? This is where they tell you I love you, but the next time they said you are not good enough for me. And as you mentioned, they start looking on someone else on the outside because they start comparing you with
yes,
friends. And oftentimes they may seek someone on the outside to talk to, like the male or the female, right? Someone on the outside to talk to because the relationship is toxic, right? And said, okay, this person is doing this to me, this person is doing that to me. And they seek that support from the outside. So this where it's where you're in a trap cycle, and oftentimes it goes both ways where the you are calling name, the other person is calling name, and then oftentimes it reaches a stage where you feel less than. You feel like you're in a hole that is spiraling, and it's spiraling and you are out of control, and you're just going down and down and down and down and down to the bottomless pit where you
yes,
feel degraded,
yes.
feel like you are zero, nothing.
Now, is this when, because I know that there are relationships that, like you mentioned earlier, that they don't end well. Unfortunately, there are times when there's murder and a suicide, you know, things of that nature. Would you say that often this is something that, I'm not saying this is always the case in a trauma bond, but it could be the result in some cases?
I agree, Bree. And oftentimes it doesn't end well. Either the person, one one person may be arrested, right? And oftentimes, a situation where if this person is arrested, they're charged with a felony because domestic violent is a felony, right? It's no longer a misdemeanor, it's a
Yes,
felony, right? And oftentimes it's a cycle. And then if that person, because sometimes the cops called, something happened, sometimes the person may kill the person.
Yes.
One person may kill the person, and if kids involved, and I hope that you all are hearing this, because silently many individuals stay into a trauma bonding relationship thinking that this is okay. And
Yes.
they put the best out, people thinking that, oh, everything is okay because they're masking, they're camouflaging the relationship, what is happening. And next thing you hear, someone kill someone, kill the kids, and then take their life.
It's true. Maxine has a comment here. She says Bob Marley said, "Emancipate
Make
yourself from
yourself from
mental slavery.
yes,
Acknowledgement is the key when faced with trauma bond, just like any other drug or alcohol.
right,
Hard to accept, but once accepted, it's the first step." I totally agree with you, Maxine.
right.
That is right on the money with that comment. And
Queen Maxine, you are right.
it's
Yes.
so right. And the thing is, Maxine, and I want you to address this for the women out there, for the men out there, anyone that is in a trauma bond, if you find that you are losing your dignity, your
Hmm.
self respect, you are questioning your sanity, you
Hmm.
know, you don't even know if the sky is blue anymore.
Hmm.
I mean, what is your advice to that individual?
Find someone you can trust
Yes,
and talk with. You need that support, and you need someone that is not connected to the partner that is causing the trauma to you. Seek some professional counseling. I know counseling is sometimes maybe expensive, but seek someone that you can talk with. If you are working and you have an EAP
I
insurance,
was about to mention
right,
that
right,
EAP. I know
EAP
most jobs have
insurance,
that.
make use of it. You're paying for it. Don't let it go to waste.
Yes,
That is coming out of your paycheck.
yes,
So you can get 3 to 4 counseling, and then they recommend you to someone else that you can talk with, and it's confidential because of the IPA. They're not going to tell your
right.
coworker or whoever you work with. It's confidential. So if you're not working, and you can trust, like if you belong to a church and you can trust someone there, seek someone
Yes,
that you can talk with, and it can help you in the relationship, help you to be a better person, be a better version of you, save you. It can save you too,
yes,
save the other person as well. So
yes,
it's the first stage of taking awareness, as well as what Queen Maxine says. You have to take responsibility, because the person that is in the trauma, if you do not accept that something is wrong or you have a problem, then it's going to be difficult
it's going to
for
be
you to remove yourself
a
from
long
this.
and rough road. Now, I know, like, I've read a lot about narcissism, and it's,
Right.
I've been involved with a few narcissists in my time, unfortunately. And, narcissistic abuse is real.
Yeah.
And one of the things they tell you is to go no contact, right?
Right.
And
Right.
you're told that for a reason,
Right.
because
Right.
I think it's easier to go your separate ways with that no contact. You're
Right.
not giving that individual a chance to put their foot back under the table or through the door, to start whispering sweet nothings in your ear. Because
Mhm.
once they're back in your life and
Mhm.
you're telling yourself, oh, this person has changed, you
Mhm.
will find out it may be even 10 times worse because,
Right.
hey, you got away the first time, you're not getting away again.
Right.
What's your
Right.
opinion on that?
Right. And this is where it becomes much, much more dangerous.
Yes,
Right. It's become where sometimes it intensify the bad behaviors
yes,
in that person, to inflict more pain, more emotional trauma onto the individual, and cause the individual to be more and more deeper into more toxic and traumatic situation. And oftentimes this person have PTSD,
Yes.
post-traumatic syndrome disorder, from whatever this person is going through. Yeah, yeah. It's a
So
dangerous cycle. A
it's a vicious
dangerous,
cycle.
vicious,
It's such a
vicious,
dangerous and vicious
vicious,
cycle, like you said.
vicious and dangerous cycle. And we love you. I want to put it out there that we love you. If you're in this cycle, we love you. And I know that I have mentioned this before. It's easier said than done. And I know that the person, your partner, he or she loves you as well. But you have to save yourself. You
Yes.
have to ask yourself, what do I want?
It's Maxine, that is so true. And Queen Maxine is saying narcissistic people are intentional and vindictive and no looking back. I agree with you on that, Maxine.
Hmm.
One of the things that I've had to learn is that when a person is showing you who they really are, Maya Angelou said that you have to believe them.
Hmm.
You have to believe them. We
Hmm.
need to stop creating these fantasies in our mind. We're so caught up with this fairy tale ending that this person will change and this person will do this and they will do that. Well, if they have been showing you the same sort of behavior for a long time, then
Hmm.
why do you think all of a sudden that they will? I mean, yeah, they'll come back, and for a day or two, it may be lovely,
Hmm.
but then you're right back to the beginning of that vicious cycle. So, and I do want to do an episode on narcissism because that is something that is so prevalent today. But
Yeah.
in
Hmm.
in this trauma bonding, doing this manipulation and gaslighting, I think that you know, when people are manipulative and they they see that they're breaking your spirit
Hmm.
and they're crushing your heart. To me, there's something demonic about that. You know, if you know that you're breaking a person's spirit, but yet you continue to do these things. My personal belief is that if you decide that you want to move on with someone else, then go ahead and do it. And I think that if you're the person that's being left behind, you have to be gracious enough to let that person go. They're actually doing you a favor,
Hmm.
right? And I think it's just time to find a way to rebuild your life. So, Maxine, I'd like you
So,
to address that for this person who feels like they can't let go. There's,
so, so as you mentioned, the person that inflicted the pain, um, uh, oftentimes it's where they are under the influence of something.
okay.
They can be substance and alcohol and substance that causes the behavior.
Okay.
So when you are using, so this is what happened. The person on the that is inflicting the pain, right? Abuser, right? They usually may have been through, may have maybe at a broken state already or stage, right?
Yes.
They are broken. They have
So like
some
they say
abandonment,
hurting people
insecurity,
hurt
some
other people.
right, abandonment issue, rejection, some pain going on, PTSD, and oftentimes too, they have mental issues,
Yes.
right? So either they substance abuse and alcohol, where they are in an emotional state, right? What you think I'm going to do? I'm going to use, because I want to evoke my emotion. I want to get that feeling. Or if I don't want to evoke my emotion, I want to take away the pain, right? Because this is why people uses. They
Yes.
use to numb. They use as a dependency. They
Yes.
use to because of something is going on in their life, right? So
Yes.
oftentimes when they are inflicting the trauma on their partner, they may be under the influence
Yes.
of substance and alcohol. Or if that's when you have that broken state or stage, right? Or they may have mental issues,
Yes.
and that mental issues may trigger the behavior, and these behavior that evokes the you know, negative emotions that causes you to inflict the trauma on your partner.
Let
So
me
when
ask
you're,
you
that's
this.
when you are okay. So Bree, before you ask, so when you are okay, you're normal. And this is the reason why the person stays, because the person is normal. When you are okay, you don't inflict pain. You are not acting into a risky behavior.
Right.
But when you have something is going on, substance, alcohol, right? It takes you to a different state where it fries your brain, and frying those brain, it evokes those emotion where you act on your emotions.
That what you're saying makes perfect sense. I'd like to welcome Karen Hogan Morgan. Thank you for tuning in, Karen. Let me ask you this. Then if it deals with addiction or whatever it is, for the person that's on the receiving end, especially if there are children involved, right?
Mhm.
Who are growing up around this dysfunctional behavior. Children who are witnessing this, because I think often we end up repeating behaviors that we witness as
Mhm.
children.
Mhm.
So, would you say that someone needs to make a choice if you know that, okay, when I need to release my emotions, I do what I have to do. At some point, doesn't this person have a responsibility to go into therapy, or the partner knowing that, hey, you know what? We need to do better. We've got to either go our separate ways or we're going to see a therapist. I mean, what's your opinion on that?
Oftentimes, for the sake of the kids, for the sake of the kids, it's best to seek help. But oftentimes, sometimes the mom or the dad feels like, I'm the fixer. I can fix this person. I know what is happening that causes this person to be in this emotional state that inflicts the pain on me. So I can bear it, and I can wait until he's okay, and then he's normal, and then I can deal with the pain that he's given me. It's a bond, as well as a trauma bonding. And I
Yes.
see Queen Maxine statement, because I'm a mental health person. I agree to disagree. Narcissistic people are intentional and vindictive, because oftentimes, sometimes they are aware of what they're doing, but sometimes they are not aware of whatever situation, and they are caught into a vicious cycle, maybe from um, environmental issues, parents, learned behavior. When you have a learned behavior and you find yourself um, adopted some of the narcissistic behavior, where it's in your DNA, unfortunately, but it's there, and you just acting that way, not knowing why. Or sometimes, yes, Queen Maxine is intentional, and it starts off where this person feels like, I'm everything, I'm all that but a bag of chips, I'm everything. They don't like criticism because they're always right. you know they want that power. That narcissistic person wants that power. If I can take your power, I have control over you. And it started off as unintentional, and then it becomes an habit where this person does not know how to react. The behavior is
Would you
into that
say
negative state.
for a person like you're encountering this in a person,
Mhm.
then at some point, don't you think you need to stand your ground for for your own mental well-being. If you see that this narcissistic individual or whoever it is that's dishing out the abuse in the trauma bond, at what point do you have to make the decision, well, you know what, this isn't going anywhere, this person doesn't want to change, I'm sick and tired of this vicious cycle, so I think it's time for me to walk away, for me to get help, and for me to, find myself again.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
mean, what's your take on that?
This is when you reach at a stage where you are saying enough is enough. I think that I have caused enough pain on this person. You come to a
Okay, looks like Maxine is having a technical difficulty, so we'll give her a couple minutes to come back on. Okay, she's back.
you
Okay,
talking of
there you
something
go.
good,
There you go.
Bree. When you know you are on the money on something, I'm going to say this. The enemy comes in and stops it because no, whatever you are saying is correct. But I know I'm hell. We are helping someone out there, right? So
Yes.
because yeah, right. So it's going getting good. And I want to say this, Bree, is sometimes it takes the person to be locked up, incarcerated, right? It takes something where you are broken, either party, broken state, where I'm saying this has to stop.
Yes.
It takes a family member, it takes a counselor, it takes a village to help either party to say this has to stop. And it
Yes.
sometimes, oftentimes, Bree, when I was doing the research, it may say the person, the victim, the person who is receiving the pain may say enough is enough. And this person has to be strong not to go back to this individual, because this individual is, he or she is going to go back or try to get back. But this person has to be strong, maybe move away from the person, have no contact with this person, where no contact. Like, this is where sometimes it has to take, what's that thing where they take out on a person, I cannot think of the name, where you have to go to the police, restraining order,
Yeah, restraining order.
restraining
Yes.
order on the person, so the person may not have no sometimes, oftentimes, that is what saved this person, where this person can move on with their life and able
Yes.
to help themselves and their children, right?
I totally agree with you on that. Karen was asking, um, let's see here. While we wait for Maxine, can you give a summary on, okay, hold on, I'm looking at Matt. I studied these people and it's a disorder, Brie, and
Yes, it,
sometimes
it,
it's a
it is.
dual disorder. All
Yeah.
narcissists have mental issues at certain levels, whether it's genetic or environmental factors that cause the personality disorder.
And Maxine, you are 100% correct. But as I mentioned, I'm a mental health therapist, and I've been on the side where I have to help this individual
Right,
to,
because
to
I
right, right,
get it.
right,
Like,
right.
you
From my,
don't want to
yeah, right,
dehumanize
right,
this
right,
this
right,
this
right,
individual,
right,
but
right.
I would like to say that it's such a tough thing to experience. I know that when I went through my divorce, one of the things I had to make up my mind to do was I don't speak to my ex-husband. I
Hmm.
don't hate him. I'm just
Hmm.
indifferent
Right.
where he's concerned. But for
Hmm.
my own mental
Right.
well-being, I had to make up my mind when I
Hmm.
was done, I was done.
Right.
And I didn't even know what peace felt like
Mhm.
until I got divorced, until I went through therapy, and I really got to know myself again. But I had to break free from that situation because it was toxic.
Mhm.
I remember people in the church, oh, you shouldn't get divorced, blah 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 blah, but I had to do what was best for me, and
Mhm.
I think that is what saved me.
Mhm.
Now, I would never say let's dehumanize another individual, but at the same time, there are some people out there who are toxic,
Right, right.
who we
Mhm.
definitely don't want in our cycle. But I appreciate both points of view. I
Right.
think
And
they are
yeah, yeah, yeah.
valid. I
And
definitely think
don't
both.
get me wrong, you are 150%, if that's something to say, correct. But from my standpoint, I see this person as someone I can help to see
Yes,
what they're doing so that they can correct their behavior and able to be a better version of themselves, because oftentimes it is intentional and sometimes it is unintentional. And
right.
my role as a therapist or a clinician is to help that person. So that's the reason why I am in between. I take a middle
No, I
ground. I
get it.
cannot be
Yeah.
biased.
No, and I,
Right,
I
right,
appreciate you sharing that because,
right.
when I was growing up, I used to look at my dad like as a monster. Looking back, I think all of us kids back then, we got some serious whippings. But as I grew older, because I remember when I was a child, I would say, when I have children, I'll never spank them. I'll never do this. I'll never do that. But then I became a parent, you
Right.
know. Then
Mm-hmm.
I could relate to why. I'm not saying what he did was right, but I
Mm-hmm.
had a better understanding. I understood it wasn't as easy. Some things are easier said than done, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But
Mm-hmm.
I do think that as adults, it's good for us to have the tools. And I
Right.
think the information that you've been sharing tonight will definitely help someone out there because I'm telling you, I didn't realize how toxic the situation was until, like, hindsight is always 2020. Being out of it,
Mm-hmm.
I was better able to look back and have a better understanding, but I never understood, like, how could another individual treat someone else like that?
Right.
And I had to really look back and see I had low self-esteem.
Mm-hmm.
I was very insecure
Mm-hmm.
and codependent,
Mm-hmm.
and learning that, what, this is just not what I want for myself. And finding that relationship with God and
Mm-hmm.
getting to that point now where I do have high self-esteem now, loving myself, I could not see myself making those mistakes again. So I
Mm-hmm.
can see where low self-esteem plays a role. And I
Mm-hmm.
would say on both parts,
Mm-hmm.
on both sides, because
Mm-hmm.
I do think if you mistreat another human being that way, I do
Mm-hmm.
think low self-esteem and insecurity must play a role.
On both
Would you
paths.
agree?
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Because the person on the other side is broken. It's the
Yes,
insecure attachment.
yes,
Something happened in that person, that partner, he or she life, that causes this person to react the way that this person is reacting.
yes,
And oftentimes, sometimes somebody may say nothing happened, but something happened. Maybe this person was broken in a previous relationship where trust is an issue, right? And causes this person to react the way
yes,
this person is reacting. So
yes,
sometimes, if you actually, from my standpoint as a clinician, when you peel the onions layer by layer, you can see what causes the behavior, the root of the behavior. Now, I'm going to share with you, Bree. I know we're wrapping up
no,
soon.
to keep going. I mean,
Some
we
some
have a
trauma
couple. Okay,
responses,
okay.
some when you are into a situation where trauma bonding, here are some of the responses that you may react in. And oftentimes you may hear this, but I want you to put something to it: a fight, a flight, a freeze and a fawn situation. Now, a fight situation, where oftentimes in the relationship, the trauma bonding relationship, is you confront that threat,
Yes.
whatever is causing the problem. Sometimes you may confront it. And that's the reason why sometimes you have some fist fight in the relationship, right?
Yes.
Because this is where you realize that this person is taking away your power. And because you the response is for you to fight back, right? And this is where you may fight back in anger, in a rage, right? Or confrontation, or high energy. And that's
Yes.
the fight situation. The next one is a flight. And this is where you may run away from the person who causes the problem or the chaotic situation. And this sometimes causes anxiety, right? And it causes you to be a panic attack, or
Yes.
you're at a stage of avoidance.
Yes.
You're avoiding the situation. And here again, it gives you high energy. The free situation is when you shut down. And this is where, in a trauma bonding situation, you find this. Two things you may find frequently in trauma bonding is freeze and fawn. So, freeze, you shut down, you block it out, and you stay,
It's true.
right? And this, you disassociate yourself from all the trauma is happening around you, right? It's a chaotic situation, but you are there and you are disassociate yourself. Numbness, and numbness caused with substance and alcohol, right? And as well as low energy. Now, this is another one, the fawn, which people always leave out of the responses, right? A fawn is where you appease the person. You stay and you appease the individual. You know what to cook for the individual. So after a fight, what do you think you're going to do? Cook that person best meal. Because if you feel like you can appease the person, make the person stop behaving the way the person is behaving, the person may even love you more. Mhm. So you appease the person, and it's a continual process.
And let me ask you this,
It
as we're
rains and stop.
appeasing,
Mhm.
as this person is being appeased, because one of the phases is that loss of self. I
Lost,
can
low
see how that can
self-esteem, loss of
happen,
self.
because if we're walking on
Right.
eggshells and we're
Yes.
appeasing the person and we're doing all of this, we're
Mhm.
thinking about keeping the family together. We're thinking about,
Right.
well, I don't want to look bad in the church if I
Right.
walk away from this marriage. But in
Right.
that process, because I think then you're not being true to yourself anymore,
Right.
right? And I think that
Mhm.
is a very difficult stage. Yes, the
Mhm.
emotional addiction to the trauma bond is strong, but at
Mhm.
some point, which it took me years. I was married for about 25 years,
Mhm.
and I was afraid to leave. I was afraid to be on my own. I didn't think I could survive. I would
Mhm.
say to myself, you're in your 50s, who would want you?
Mhm.
Things of that nature. But I let fear
Mhm.
keep me stuck in that
Fear.
shit.
Mhm.
Therapy and my spiritual life, because
Mhm.
listen, I didn't take walking away from my marriage lightly. I did some praying. And I felt like the first time when I wanted to leave, I honestly don't believe God released me from the marriage.
Mhm.
Had to hang in there a few more years before I felt that he did release me. But I
Mhm.
didn't walk away because, oh, I'm bored with this marriage. Well, no, I did it for my mental well
Mhm.
being.
Mhm.
And I did it because I felt it was the right thing to do. I do believe that these situations can be helped if both people want the help, but I do
Right.
think that both people have to want the help. So I'd like you to address that before, to close out the evening, before you give your closing thoughts.
All
What
right.
can,
So,
because you are a minister and I know that you believe in marriage. So
mhm.
what would you suggest to those in a trauma bond, but you figure, you know what, let's try to make this work? What can these individuals do?
Start by setting boundaries.
Yes.
Learn to say no. Start by respecting yourself.
Yes.
When you start respecting yourself, find something, find something within you or about you that you really want to hold on to. And oftentimes, as a minister and as a woman of faith, I'm going to put this out there, as a minister and as a woman of faith, I believe in God, right? And oftentimes you can find your place and yourself in God, right? But I say this to save you. Find something you believe in, a higher power, if it's your higher power. Whatever it takes for you to snatch yourself out of this situation, it's this it's the first stage of loving yourself,
Yes.
of moving on, of letting go. And when you let go, do not dwell on the past. Do not dwell on the future, but think about the here and now. Or right here, right now, how are you going to be being the best version of yourself? How are you going to take care of your kids? How are you going to love yourself? How you are free? Or you're not into that toxic relationship anymore? Or you are going to take one step at a time. And I ask you, how do you eat an elephant? You cannot eat that elephant all at once because
Yes.
it's so big. And if you look at your problem, it's as big as an elephant and it's so strong and it's so powerful, like an elephant, right, Bree?
Yes.
But if you start eating one step at a time, one chew at a time, one bite at a time, then you can see things start to become better and better. All you need to do is to start. Once you start the process of freeing yourself from this bond, then it becomes easier and easier and easier and easier, Breathe, right?
Right.
And as I always say to my counselor, it's like a tool bag. And in that tool, and within that bag are different tools that you can use to fix something. So I always say, pretend that you have a bag around your waist. And for every situation, there is a tool for you to use to fix your situation. But you have to be at the place to take responsibility and awareness of what is happening around you and what you are doing, right?
Yes.
Once you are at that place of awareness and responsibility, you stop denying. You are out of that stage of denial and
Yeah.
into the state where you can grow. And all you need is a place that you can grow. That's all you
Maxine
need.
says, Queen Maxine says, Maxine, I like that metaphor. Yeah,
Right.
definitely, definitely. And Maxine, what I would like to say is, a lot of people, when they are out of these trauma bonds, I think that I wish that people would take the time to heal, take
Hmm.
the time to get to know themselves, take the
Mm-hmm.
time to go through some mental health counseling, take the time
Mm-hmm.
to go through some spiritual counseling before
Mm-hmm.
jumping into another situation,
Relation.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Because too
Mm-hmm.
often, and it's something I had to learn, it was from one trauma bond to the next.
Next,
And it's
right.
like these guys, different name, different nationality, but the same person. So
Mm-hmm.
I had to really look at myself and
Mm-hmm.
face that I was insecure, that,
Right.
I was desperate. I just had very low self esteem. I had to
Mm-hmm.
do the work on myself and learn that it's okay to be alone.
Mm.
Better to be
Codependency.
alone.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's because I was very codependent, and that's something that I had to learn about myself. But I can tell you, as I have connected with God, I've learned to connect with myself. And it's like now I know the red flags. I will not make excuses for poor behavior because
That's
I will
good.
say it's not worth my time and effort. If I
Mm-hmm.
can't be treated the way I want to be treated, then you're not the
Mm-hmm.
person for me. And now I know I can walk away, but I think we need to step back,
Mm-hmm.
discover who we are, and
Mm-hmm.
before jumping into another situation.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my personal thought. Now, Maxine, what are your closing thoughts for the evening? And I would like to say thank you so much for doing this topic because it's something that meant a great deal to me. And I just really appreciate your coming on because
Mm-hmm.
you always do such a great job. And I really appreciate you, Maxine.
Oh, thank you so much, Brie. You do too. But I want to say this to you. I know that you may feel like you don't have a problem or nothing is happening while something is happening. I know that you want freedom. I know that you want to be out of this, but you are so codependent of with this person. You are so attached. Maybe you know this person from high school. Maybe you know this person from college, university, or somewhere, and you feel like this person knows you inside and out, right? Or this person can just make you smile or give you the trills. But think about you. What do you want?
Yes,
What's your truth? Because my truth is not your truth. But what is your truth? You can use your truth that is inside, deep inside of you, to change your situation,
yes,
to change your behavior, to allow you to see, take the scales from off your eyes and to be free,
yes,
right? So you are a new person. Old things are passed away, and behold, you can be new. And yes, you do have support because I'm hearing you. You saying, I don't have anyone to help me. Yes, all you need to do is to take the first step. Listen to your guts. That gut feelings, never wrong. Once you make that first step, there's always someone out there to support you, to help you.
yes.
Don't lean on yourself and what is happening in that toxic relationship. That man, that woman cannot fix it.
That's
He's
true.
not, he or she is not a god or a goddess. Only you can, only you can change your situation. So I plead with you. I plead with you as a woman of God. I plead with you as a friend. I plead with you as a counselor. If you are in a trauma bonding situation and you are aware of it or not aware of it, seek professional help. Talk with someone that can snatch you out of it. And when you are snatched out of it, you have to be careful because
Yes,
you'll go right back. You
yes,
have to cut all ties, cut the
yes.
neighbor string, cut it so you can grow again because you can grow in a dark place
It's true.
when the light is shine on you. So we are shining the light on you to love you. And if you are the person or the abuser, we are not tearing you down.
That's
We are
right.
building you up. All I'm saying, seek some help.
Yes.
Seek some professional help so you can get help. Take responsibility and awareness of what you're doing. And it's
Amen.
the start of loving yourself too. So,
Amen.
as I started before, if you feel like you are in a situation where something is happening, domestic violence, I would love for you to call the domestic violence hotline. And that number is 1 800 779 7233 or text 8878 or www.thepowerhouse.org. thehotline.org, and that's in lowercase. Thank
Thank
you.
you for sharing that information, Maxine. And before we sign off, would you please tell the viewers about your ministries?
Oh, thank you, Bree, for reminding, because sometimes you forget about what you're doing. So, I have a prayer line. My ministry was started in COVID, and I thought it was just for that COVID period, but it kept on going and going and stronger and stronger. So, I'm spiritually strong, but I feel like, yes, you are need more than just spiritual strong. You need a balanced diet, and that balanced diet is everything that you need to survive in this time. So I have a ministry. We meet every Monday night, and we talk about things that may affect you, your health and your wellness. And of course, we pray, because, I do believe in God, and I do believe that that's another level you can take things, and so you can become stronger and better.
Yes.
So I mix the mental health, the civic environmental issues and state, to help you grow, so you can be successful. Finances, health and wellness, and everything. We are meet every Monday night, and if you go onto Woven's Ministry
Okay.
International, that's my Facebook. Please go on my Facebook page and love and like me.
Please
Woven's
do.
Ministry International. I usually post it, and if you text or call, I have a number for the ministry, which is 352-721-2122. You can text. If you call and you're a spam caller, I'm not going to answer. But if you need someone to talk to, say, Miss Maxine, I need some help. Yes, I will extend my professional help to you, because guess what? I'm not worried about the money. I'm helping. If I can help you grow and help you live, that's me. I usually ask my clients, what do you want? What do you want? And they say, I want to live.
Yes.
And that's all I need.
That
And
is that is such a blessing. And Maxine is Queen Maxine has asked me to please tag it. So I will make sure I will tag Maxine on my wall so you guys can see Woven Ministries. And please support Maxine's ministry. Maxine, as I said before, I appreciate you. Queen
appreciate you too.
Maxine, I would love to have you as a guest, Queen Maxine.
I
So
know
please
Queen
let me know
Maxine
when you're
from Port Antonio. We
I
used to live
know,
on
I
the
know
same
Maxine.
lane, Arpa's
Yes,
Lane. I know
yes,
her mom too.
yes. We all
Yes.
go way back. So,
Way,
Queen
way back.
Maxine, please reach out and let me know if you're interested in being a guest. And Maxine, as I always say to you, I'd love to have you back.
Anytime, Bree.
Let me know when you're available because I would definitely love for you to come back. You always share such great information. And what I like about you is that you give us that balance because it took me a long time to get to that point where I could see a person that I consider to be an abuser as a human being, because
Okay.
I still had that hatred and bitterness in my heart. But
Right.
it takes a long time to get to that point. And it's like if you're in ministry, you have to be objective. And that's something that has taken me a long time to get to that place. So I appreciate your perspective on everything. And like I said, once again, thank you so much. This was very informative. And I
We must
pray
do a
that,
part two, because we didn't
yes,
finish.
yes,
Right.
no, I
Yeah,
would
we
love to
didn't
do a part
finish. We
two.
yeah,
So
we didn't finish. And
let me
soon
know when
too,
you're
so we can
available.
follow up on this. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, definitely, because I wanted to touch on the Stockholm syndrome. There were
Yes.
some other things that I
Right.
wanted to
Right.
address.
Right.
So
Yeah.
let me know when you're available so I can put you on my calendar. I can't wait to do a part two. And Maxine says, thanks and appreciate you, Maxine. And I will definitely join you. And please remember to tag her info, Bree. I will definitely do that, Queen Maxine. I will definitely do that. I'd like to thank the viewers for tuning in. If you
Thank
watch
you
the
too.
replay, please post your questions and
Right.
comments. Feel free to reach out to Maxine, and I will
Right.
definitely be posting her ministry information on my wall.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
listeners.
you.
Thank you, viewers. Thank you
Take
so
care, everyone. I'm wishing everyone a blessed week. God bless Maxine once again, and thank you so much.